Welcome back to the Stories of Northern Life podcast, brought to you by the Sault Ste. Marie Museum. I'm your host, Nicole, and today I bring you another episode in our Queer Project series. Today I have the pleasure of interviewing Rex with my co-host, Kaio. So let's get into the episode.
Today we're joined by someone who has made a lasting impact on our local queer landscape. Rex. Originally from Oxford, England, Rex now calls Sault Ste. Marie home, and we're all better for it. He's a teacher, a local business owner, and the heartbeat behind our weekly Thursday queer nights, which have become such a vital gathering space for all of our queer community. You might also recognize him from the stage. He lit it up last season in the local production of Priscilla, Queen of the Desert, bringing sparkle, talent, and unapologetic queerness to the spotlight. Rex brings heart, humor, and leadership to everything he touches, and I'm so excited for all of you to hear more about his journey, his passions, and what pride means to him.
Oh, thank you very much for that.
Warning. The following contains discussions of discrimination, BIPOC, sex identity, explicit language, and other mature content. Listener discretion is advised, especially for those under 13. We have kept these interviews intact to preserve the voices of our guests. Can you state your full name and preferred pronouns?
Yeah, my name is Rex LIDDIARD, and I am a he, him. These are my own pronouns.
Only if you're comfortable, can you tell me how you identify?
Yeah, I identify as a man, a cisgender man, who is also a new Canadian with a lot of privilege. And I'm not living the same kind of life as a lot of new Canadians. So, yeah, that's kind of how I identify as a super.
So when and where were you born?
I was born on the 17th of October 1989 in Oxford, England, in the John Radcliffe Hospital. And my birth was so monumentous that the Loma Prieta earthquake happened in San Francisco the same day.
Oh my goodness.
Yeah, I was literally groundbreaking.
Nice.
I know, which is probably disrespectful to all the people that had a hard time with that. So, yeah. Apologies for that, California.
So what was your childhood like?
I feel like a lot of people... I feel like people fall into two camps. They either have some really amazing stories because their childhood was definitely like unusual, or then people are just very like, oh, I had a really typical childhood. But sort of, what is a typical childhood? You know?
Mm-hmm.
But I think mine was very typical of suburban Oxfordshire, nuclear family, very lots of love, lots of, you know, like me and my sisters, I have two sisters, both younger than me, who I love more than anything in the world. And, you know, we all three of us did well in school. Like, it was all that very, like, looking back, I think it was, like, very, it just cookie cutter almost. Like, we didn't live a cookie cutter life, we lived our own unique lives. But, you know, like, that sort of, how would you want it to look kind of thing. And it probably looked like that. I think my parents probably look back and they're like, wow. we got really lucky. But yeah, no, so I don't know, I lived on a street that was very middle class. My parents both worked, and I don't think they would identify as like middle class. I think they're like, no, we worked here, we got to this stage, you know. And they did work really hard and support me and my sisters, and yeah, I just remember it being a lot of like playing around in the backyard, a lot. Weirdly, we used to put on American accents all the time for everything when we were playing as kids. I think that's like the pervasive nature of American culture on TV. And like, you know, that's something that really strikes me as my childhood. Is like I was always talking, and it's like, oh yeah, American.
Not just any American.
No, I was like a total ballet girl, yeah. While I was doing Sonic the Hedgehog, yeah. But yeah, no. So I think, yeah, it's kind of almost like arrogant to say like, oh, like my childhood was really typical. But I think, you know, that really kind of 1950s American dream thing, it kind of like actually was that. It was quite nice. Yeah.
And
Yeah.
were you always a theater kid?
Well, when I was really young, if my mum ever hears this podcast, she'll kill me, but she said, no, you can't go into the theatre because you're too chatty and you'll get told off backstage because you'll just chat. And I was like, oh, my mum. But then I think I just was like, I'll prove you wrong. And as soon as I went into high school, which high school starts earlier in the UK, I was in all the shows from then on. And it's fair to say my family's very theatrical, both in the appreciation of it and also in our like hilarious dramatic nature. So yeah, so when I was in grade 10, Les Mis came to our school and we did the Les Mis Schools edition, and I was too young to have a really, really cool role. I'd love to lie and say I was like Javert or something, but I wasn't. He's my favourite character in Les Mis. Oh my god, I love him. He's so evil, but like principled in his evil, you know, like he's like, he would never think he's evil, and he realizes how bad he is, and then he can't take it. Yeah, you know, and he's trying to fight against, you know, where he came from and prove everybody else wrong, and then he realizes that he's wasted his life ruining other people's. Anyway, sorry. So yeah, fair to say, theatre kid, loved it, was in all the shows, and yeah, did all of that in high school, and then I went to university and I joined the Drama Society at university, and I was on the committee for that, and we had lots of fun there. Like did lots of, I was in all the pantomimes and things like that, which I loved. That was my first time I did drag. Was as a drag queen called Wilma Ballstrop, and she was a Southern Belle from Alabama or something like that. I can't remember. But yeah. But I was thinking about that the other day because I was on Facebook, which I don't like very much. And the theatre group that I was part of, they have a Facebook group, and I was thinking, oh my god, the jokes that we were making in these like comedy shows back in 2008, like I can't run for political office, like I can't. You know what I mean? Like I apologise for whatever I said, or we were said, or read off the script, or whatever. Certainly, I don't think it's like cancel me bad, but it's definitely like, wow, I can't believe people used to say that.
Those were different times.
Yeah. It was never right.
No, never, ever. But those were different times.
I mean, I just want to point out, like, none of it was racist or homophobic or transphobic or anything like that. I just think that nowadays we're better at humour, and we're better at punching up than punching down, let's say.
Yes.
Yeah. Anyway, sorry, I keep taking you on tangents. I'm really sorry. Yeah, I like theatre. Good. Okay.
Next.
Did you have any other hobbies as a kid?
Oh my god. I mean, I was probably a bit nerdy as a kid. You know, like I loved my books, and I just like lived in books and stuff like that, which that's never stopped. And I. Yeah, I've always been like this, loud and chatty and whatever, but then at the same time I can switch it off when I'm by myself and just get in a book. So I know that's quite a boring hobby, but books.
Not boring at all.
No, it's not.
To read them, to talk about them, and you truly are very passionate about books. I have driven in front of your house a couple times. And you did. Rex, please tell us.
Oh, well, I had to make one of those little free libraries. I had to do it because it was just, I was so jealous of everybody else in town that had one. You know, and then there was one on Queen Street opposite Café for Good. And the box is still there. I think someone took the door off it. And I saw that when I saw it, how it was vandalised. And I was like, oh, I'm doing my own in my property. And yeah, so that was a fun project to do, and it's going really well. Like I think the people in my neighbourhood, they've stopped me so many times and saying like thank you for this, and this is great. We don't have anything like that right where we are. I think, you know, like in the Canal District. I really like that we've got a moniker for our name, from part of town now. It's really cool. But yeah, I don't think there are many of them around. So when I first put it out, there were lots of people saying like, "Can I take these?" You know, and I was like, "Of course you can." Like, and they were like, "But do I need to bring another back?" No, it's fine. Like, that's the point, is that it's all good. But I get them back, and I get new ones and things like that. And my next thing I keep needing to do is go on online and get a stamp made, and then I can stamp it and be like, it's been in this free library, and where will it end up? You know, but we'll see. Nice. But yeah, no. So books are my thing. Yeah.
Nice.
Yeah.
Also, part of the beauty of books, when you find them 20 years later and there is that stamp, and you're like, oh my gosh, I remember where I got this book.
Yeah, and that's it. Like, yeah, and it's cool, and then maybe you think to go back to that place or whatever. But also, you say that there's also like a magic in when you open up a book that you were given as a gift, and it's like 20 years later, and it's like, oh my god, my godmother gave me this book, and she wrote this cute little message or whatever, you know, like, wow, yeah. So that's cool. But anyway, yeah.
And now that we're talking about books, I think it's very appropriate to talk about the third act.
Well, yeah.
Is it Rex's third act?
It's my third act. Well, I was trying to think of a name, and when I finished university, I was working in marketing and events, which was great because it was just, I don't remember any of it because I was drunk on Prosecco the whole time. But then now I'm a teacher, and then my dream is always to have a bookshop. Yet to find out how I would make it really pay, but so I was like, right, that would be my third act. So it was like third act books, and then third act in a play and whatever. So yeah, when Café for Good opened, Lisa Vezo-Allen, who is still the driving force behind it, said, "Rex, I've got an opportunity for you. You've always wanted to do this," and in her way, which is very like, I've decided this is happening now. Like, okay, well, you're setting up a bookshop. Oh, yeah, okay, I'm setting up a bookshop. So yeah, I set up a bookshop, and it was really fun. I learnt a lot over the past almost year now that it's been open. Opened in November last year, so ish. Like, it's really hard to get publishers and the big publishing houses to sell their books to you if you're like a tiny little business, you know. Also have learned that there are so many more authors and writers and everything in Sault Ste. Marie and the area than you would ever think, you know. And there's so many that have come to me and said, I want to sell the books with you. I'm like, yeah, okay, we'll do it. And then the other day I saw a whole list more of people that have published books or self-published books. And I just think, we need some kind of network where, I mean, I'm sure it does exist. I know actually that it exists, but you know, we need the Sault to know more about these people that are selling these books. So my kind of goal for the next year is to get more local authors in there, as well as all the random stuff I go through. And I think, yeah, people should like that. You know, that was my goal, is to kind of indoctrinate the Sault with things I think. So yeah, yeah,
Love it.
yeah.
Love it.
So you went originally to school for the marketing?
No, I went to school for politics and French.
Okay.
And then I ended up bullying people who, you know, suppliers for interior designers to put on parties, hence the event marketing and events.
Mm-hmm.
So I would go around in London to all the cool designy parts of London and be like, oh my god, you should totally do a party for all the interior designers I've got on my list. And they'd do it, and we'd have a great time, like, you know, and they'd make loads of money off all the interior designers that would see their cool furniture or tiles or whatever, and I would have a fun party with lots of really interesting people. So it was a really good time, but you know, you have to grow up at some point. So then I met my husband, my now husband, and we were coming back and forward from here back to the UK, especially in the summer, and I was like, I need to like make the most of these summers. And I'd already done some teaching, and then so I decided to become a teacher because I wanted the summers off, which is not a good reason to become a teacher, and it was really difficult to reconcile that at first. And now I like teaching, so that's good. But yeah, so anyone out there that wants to become a teacher for the holidays, that's not why you should get into teaching. Yeah. So yeah, complete tangent, I think. But I don't know. There's probably a lot of people out there that do a degree and then do something completely different. Yeah. But I do use my French now, so that's good. I work in a French school here in town. They were nice enough to hire me. So yeah.
And so when did you and your husband sort of decide to move back to the Sault?
Well, I think so we met in England. He was doing his master's in London, and we only met because I had moved in with just sort of random people off the internet because I needed a place to live when I first moved to London. And they all happened to work in the shop that he was working in part-time while he was studying. So they were sort of naturally fated to happen. Yeah, people always seem disappointed when I tell them this story because it doesn't seem to involve like Grindr or anything. I'm like, I'm
It's so romantic.
I wish it did involve Grindr. It'd be way more fun. No, it is romantic because we were sat there in this restaurant, me and my housemates and his workmates, and I saw him walk past and then sort of open this glass door and I was like, I'm going to marry that man. Didn't even know he was going to sit down. And I was like, him. And then he sat down. Yeah.
That's adorable.
It is adorable.
And he's also a Libra.
He's got the same birthday.
Yes.
Yeah, and the same middle name.
Oh my goodness.
It's freaky.
That's easy.
We actually don't like each other at all. We just have to stay with each other for this weird connection. Yeah, that's it. So. Anyway, so we
like every marriage.
It really is, yeah. So we were living. Ended up living in London for 7 years, but we decided a few years into the relationship that we would probably move to Canada because we just. Prices were just getting so silly in London, and also we wanted a community, and it's hard in London to establish a community. Like even we had friends that were from London, and they had a community, but even then, like there's just so much to it, and it's just so big and it's so anonymous, and I don't know. I like the spotlight a bit. So.
Nice.
I had to go find myself a smaller pond. But no, so then, we decided to move here. So we moved here in 2019, got established, and then obviously the pandemic happened, which was a weird way to move to a town, or a whole new country with, pandemic. But we got through it, as most of us did, not all of us, unfortunately, but and then, sort of, I would say sort of 2021, 2022 is when our lives in the Sault really started to kick off and we began to really form community here, which has been great. Yeah.
Nice. And talking about community, you are a big community builder in our local town. You do on your bookshop, the third act, you do have the queer night every Thursday. And as a person who comes most Thursdays in a month, I do strive to come every Thursday, but sometimes I just can't make it. It truly is a beautiful way where we can connect with other queer folks and meet people that, as you know, we wouldn't meet through Grindr. And make new connections. Would you like to tell us?
Yeah, I mean...
How did that happen?
Well, I mean, I was doing the bookshop and I'd said to everyone at Café for Good, I would like to do this. I'm going to come in and be here present for two sort of occasions a week. Because I'm a teacher, it's my full-time job. So I was like, okay, Thursday nights we'll keep the cafe open later and I'll be here. And then Saturdays, which I have been chirping recently. Anyway. But the bookshop's always open, so you can always go there. But then the Thursday nights we were sat there and we were like, okay, like we had lots of friends coming in and we had people were always coming in to come and buy the books because, I was there and I would be social media and stuff. And I hate social media, but it really does work as a marketing tool. I wish I could just put vibes out into the air and be like, boom. But people were coming and then we've been talking forever about, like Darcy and I and friends, and we've been talking forever about, not that there isn't, there isn't a gay bar in the Sault, but actually there's not really a whole lot sort of all the time, And then we thought, oh my gosh, we've got this opportunity. The cafe's open late for the bookshop. We're here anyway. And Darcy, volunteers all the time. He's now the chair of Employment for Good. And so he's obviously volunteering. So proud of him. So we were like, okay, well, we can do something with this. And actually this works out so well because I love a gay bar. And I love my life, and I love my community, and I love everything I do. But I recognise that my life and the way I live my life, it involves quite a bit of alcohol, and I'm fine with that. I don't have an alcohol problem, but I love to party. I love to party, and I don't think there's anything wrong with that. I'm getting all my partying in when I'm in my 30s, and we'll see what happens in my 40s, probably more. But we immediately recognised that actually there's no, especially in places like this, there's not anywhere like for people to not be queer and drunken at the same time. We're like, actually, we've got this coffee shop. This is so perfect because queerness shouldn't be wrapped up in alcohol, but I feel like it quite often is, and I don't want to speak ill of that life.
No, because those are good spaces.
They're great spaces
to be, yes.
Yeah, but a coffee shop is even more inclusive, and I think the regulars that we have that come to Queer Coffee, and then the people that just pop in every now and again are really testament to that. So people just feel really comfortable just to come in, and there's no pressure to perform in any way that would make you want to have a glass of wine, so it's great. So yeah, we set it up and we put it out there that we were doing it, and then our first night I, in my sort of typical teacher mode, put out questionnaires to everybody, like, what do you want from this? Do you remember my little questionnaires? I carry them around with me everywhere. So we did the questionnaires, we got some great ideas from people, and then we've sort of been slowly working through that and adding to it and things like that. So it's been a really good mix of things. We've done last night we did an open mic night, which we've been planning to do for ages, and we've done art and painting nights and things like that, and then we've done really important things, like you came and spoke to us about sexual health, and that was a really good night. It was really well attended.
It was really good.
Yeah,
I agree.
It was
Sorry,
great.
I'm flattered.
It was fabulous. It was so good, and you they did a bingo, and my 8-year-old niece was part of it.
Yes, we did an HIV sexual health bingo,
yes.
And children were around, and we were all super respectful with our words around the children.
Yeah.
And so I thank you for the feedback.
Oh,
everybody had fun. Yeah,
it was great. But so that I'm quite really pleased. Well, one thing as well is that we have this blouse that appeared when we did a clothing swap one time, and this blouse is very art teacher vibes, and so whoever's in charge of the night has to wear Blanche the blouse.
Yes.
So
I was going to say, what's her name?
Yes.
Say her
after
name.
After the Golden Girls character, obviously, yeah. And she does give a bit of swagger to the person that wears it, yeah. So and that's the thing. So Queer Coffee Night isn't my project that I'm doing. It's been so good to have people hosting it. Some of the regulars that have come who are really part of it now, they've hosted nights too, and so that's really good. One time I had Elections Ontario come, this is right before the election, and obviously we didn't want it to be partisan, so I said, we'll get Elections Ontario in, and we had a lovely person come and host it and just give out information for the election coming up, which I realised for some is quite dry, but I loved that. And forced Blanche on them. Which was good fun. It was very serious business here. We should definitely vote, and please register to vote wearing this silly blouse. So and that's what it's about. It's about having fun being silly. So.
It's adorable.
Yeah. So anyway, Queer Coffee Night has become a really big thing now, and it's really
it's a staple.
Yeah, it's really, really fun. I definitely could do better at marketing it. I've got into a bit of a thing where I'm like, oh yeah, I've got to do this marketing. I've got to send out on Instagram or whatever. And once again, if I start doing it on a Monday and then every single day that week, and then people will come. Whereas if I send it out on the day, I get fewer people. And I'll get there. It's fine. But since I have this, next week we're doing PowerPoint night, where we're inviting everybody to make a PowerPoint about whatever you want, and come and present it to everybody in Café for Good. And it can be about anything. It can be about the most obscure things. At open mic last night, we had somebody come and talk about what your choice of truck means to your personality. And I love this kind of like astrology and trucks going to it. It's good. So I'm going to do the 6 wives of Henry VIII ranked from best to worst. And we'll see what else happens. I know you're coming.
Yeah, I'll be there.
Yeah.
I'm not sure about what I'm presenting yet, but it will be something fun.
Yeah. So all are welcome to come and do that, and we're going to have a really good time. Yeah.
So can you tell us where can we find the Queer Night and the Third Act Bookshop?
Yeah, you can find us at 326 Queen Street East. We're opposite the Bell Building, and it's a newly renovated space. It's lovely in there. We've got one exposed brick wall. It's very industrial. They did a great job when they renovated it, and it's lovely. It's cozy. It's intimate, and it gets very kind of. We all sort of sit on top of each other, and there's so many people. We're just last night we had standing room only, and it was great, but in a good way. And it's one of those spaces where we make room for each other. So there's, it's, I would love to see more people coming because there's so many people do come, but I know there are more queers out there.
Yes.
We collect.
I love your laugh.
So, sort of getting back to your early years.
Yeah.
Did you always know, sort of identify as part of the queer community? And then also sort of, when did you come out and sort of what was that like too?
Yeah. No, I did not. I very much did not. No, I think I probably belong to one of those sort of last generations of people, millennials, I suppose, as well, of people who, for whom there was no real representation at all, and the representation that was there was largely negative. So I grew up under Section 28 in the UK, which was Margaret Thatcher. Hey girl, looking down at you there. And Margaret Thatcher's great idea it's basically a don't say gay law in schools. Which ran from the late 80s until, I want to say, 2002 or something, when I think it was Tony Blair that repealed it. And essentially, this law, teachers weren't allowed to talk about gay anything. So, and I don't think that sex ed curriculums have caught up anywhere really, but I know that I had gay teachers and they were not allowed to mention their boyfriends, partners, anything, and it really had an effect because looking back now, there was a lot of shame about it, and I definitely did not identify as queer or gay in any way back then. 14-year-old me was no, that's wrong. And I don't think that was something that came from my family turning around saying that's wrong. I think it was just from this kind of
society,
sort of white middle class society where everything's pretty homogenous and don't rock the boat kind of thing. And so I didn't, and then I remember I was applying to university and I was going and visiting universities around the UK, and I was 17 or just 18, and I had this dream, not a sex dream per se, but I'd visited this one university and I really loved their halls of residence, and I was this is so great. And then I kind of had this dream where I was really enjoying myself in the halls of residence, you know, like some boys, you know, and I woke up in a cold sweat in the morning, like I'm gay, you know, like literally, like just, you know, and then I like went. And I just sort of like lied back down, and I was like, okay, let's like process this, because you've got to come out to yourself first, right? Like, so yeah, I was like 17 or 18, I'm like, okay, what does this mean? And I was like, okay, let's return to the dream. Yeah, I do want that. Okay, so what does this mean? What do I do? And it was so like, you know, there's so many people who like have always known, and it's just, for them it wasn't easy to come out, but certainly it was easy to accept themselves, you know, and that was not the case for me. And once I knew in that moment it was, but then it was hard to like come out. But then, and then the coming out sort of process, like, I think luckily I'd just broken up with my girlfriend at the time, so I didn't have to break up with her because I was gay. I think I kept it pretty quiet. I think I was just doing it. I think as soon as I realised I was gay, I looked back and was like, oh, of course I'm, you know, like I've always been like this. I always flap my hands when I talk. I'm very like theatrical and whatever. So that's that. I think it was one of those I can't believe you didn't know moments a little bit. And then I came out to a really good friend. We all started turning 18 that school year, all my friends. And so the ones of us that were 18, which is the drinking age in England, we started going out to the bars and stuff like that. And then, you know, one night I was out with a friend in a bar and came out to her, and it went really well. And then there was this guy in the bar that I never met, and he was very nice, give me a kiss. And then I didn't tell anybody else. And then I didn't tell anybody else. And then went to Ibiza. When with all my friends, there was 18 of us. We all went right before university, and it was like a goodbye, we'll never see each other ever again party. So we're all having a really good time. Ibiza at the time, you know, it still is, but had these like 10,000 people weekly parties in these huge nighthouses, this huge rave. And one of the nights was called Manumission. And I don't know if they've revived it, but it did stop, I don't know. And it was like the biggest kind of sex-themed party ever. It's not a sex party where us have sex there, but it like on the stage, it's always very sexy. Anyway, this year was all about trapeze artists and stuff like that. So we're all sat there dancing around, and then like the show goes on again, and there's like people just like naked and doing all the things and doing some really interesting stuff that I probably shouldn't say on a podcast. I can if you want, but and I was watching it, and then I guess I chose that night to come out to all my friends. So we're all like, you know, out and Ibiza, music's loud and everything. I'm like, guys, I'm gay. You're what? Gay. Are you sure? Yeah. So I literally was like screaming coming out. And like, yeah, all my friends were really great with it. And then next week I went to university as a gay man because, you know, my parents dropped me off at university. I didn't tell them until the summer in between my first and second years. And so they packed the car and off they went. And I was a gay man at university, and my housemates were really lovely and really accepting, and they were all really jockey and everything. And I think I was their little like gay twinky little pet because I was a little twink back then, you know, and they looked after me. And that was nice, yeah. So I had a positive coming out experience in that respect, yeah. But not without a lot of looking back, like internalized homophobia when I was growing up, because I was always gay. I just didn't know it. And I think before, you know, especially like 14, 15, I was never homophobic to anybody because there was no one else that was gay. But I was definitely not. The idea of it was just not okay, you know. So that's yeah. But I live in spite of that version of me now, so that's good.
Nice. Yeah. And very loudly.
Yeah.
Just how you came out of the closet, very loudly.
Very loudly, yeah. Well, when I came out to my parents, it wasn't so loud.
Weren't you screaming at them?
No, I feel terrible with this one girl, bless her little heart. I was temping over the summers, and this one girl, my mum taught her. She was a student at the college that my mum taught at, and the two of us were temping together. So I was driving her. We actually we worked at a racetrack, like with Formula One cars and stuff. It was really cool. Like, I love race cars. It's like the most unqueer thing, but like, I love race cars. And that's like me and my dad did when I was growing up. And so anyway, so I got to work like catering, but like in the VIP box overlooking. So me and this girl, I can still remember her name, I'm not going to say it because in case she's listening. We were working together, and I think she kind of like had a bit of a crush on me by the end of the summer, which she did because she told me. And then I used that as my way to tell my parents that I was gay. I told her. She told me, like, oh, I have a crush on you. I was like, I love that. I love you. You're great. And then that night, I told my mum and dad. And my sister already knew because I told her, she came to visit university, told her. No, she asked me. Which, you know, I think I was having a great time. And she's like, are you gay? Yes, love that. Let's get some chocolate flavoured shots. You know, so that was fine. But anyway, I sat there in the living room, and my sister's like, I think I'm going to go to bed. Grab her wrist. And she looks around, she's like, oh, fuck. Like, she knows what's about to happen. And I'm like, Mum, it was so interesting because this girl that I work with, like, she says she has a crush on me. And my mum she's like, oh, that's lovely. What a nice little meet cute. Well, it would be lovely, except for the fact that I'm gay. And that's how I did it. And yeah, I feel bad that I had to use someone as a prop, you know. But thank you to this girl. You're out there in the world, and you helped 19-year-old me.
She's not like still having crushes on gay men.
So many people do because we're so real, you know.
I know.
But no, like she had an innocent crush. She said she liked me. I saw it in with my parents. You know. I think I felt like awkward, being like, oh, how do I tell my parents? Like, you know, I just felt like I've been living as a gay man for a year at university, and I'm like, why should I have to come out? You know, why should I have to do that? Like, this is me. Why can't people see this? Anyway, my parents were really surprised, which, you know, I was surprised when I realised I was gay, so I'm not surprised that they were surprised, you know. But yeah, they were like, I had no idea. Wow. Okay. So yeah.
How do you find the Sioux is different from like England in that? Like, just how is it like sort of culturally and just the general like running of everything sort of?
Yeah. That's such an interesting question, and I think about that question all the time. I think that's kind of how I navigate my life through Sioux, is like comparisons with the old country. Well, one, the Sioux is built for cars. Which, as a motorhead, that's fine. No, but no, it. I have something I do think about Canada and Canadians in general, is that I think that Canada looks and sounds a lot like America, but it thinks like a European, you know? And I do think that, I mean, Canada doesn't really have a particularly big socialist movement, let's say, you know, like whereas in Europe, you know, they're always in opposition or whatever. But, so, you know, politically, but we do have, you know, social safety nets here in Canada, and there is a nascent social justice movement and stuff like that, you know, so there is that. So Canada is a place where movement can be made on social mobility and social justice and things like that, I do think. And yet it does look a lot like that over there. But I feel like when you step across the border, and of course, we're sort of lucky in that way here to be able to do that and like see what it's like over there. It feels like night and day, you know, between America. But that wasn't your question. I think I have an ADHD diagnosis. Does this surprise you? No, in the zoo, I've had a really positive experience here, moving here. It's been very easy for me. My husband's family is extremely welcoming and warm. They really wanted both of us to be here, and you know, they really embraced us and everything. And so that's been really, really easy. And his family's so big, and they have so many people that they know. So it's been very easy to insinuate myself in, and I've been really privileged in that way. I know that's not the same for everybody, and as I said at the beginning of this, like, I'm not your average new Canadian. I don't think. You know, it's a long time ago when it was lots of Brits moving to Canada. Sorry for that, everyone. I'm just extending this British Empire tradition. No, I'm joking. But I've said to a lot of people, and I'm saying this through my sort of rose-tinted glasses because I've been so lucky with the people I know and the people I've got to know, colour of my skin, everything. The fact that, let's be honest, like, British accent is one of those prestige accents, and people are always saying, "Oh my god, like, it's so, like, I love your accent." Da, da, da. And I got my stock response now to anyone that says it. I'm like, "Oh yeah, well, I've been here for 6 years and I haven't lost it yet." So what do you say to "I love your accent"? Like, thank you. Now what? You know, I'll give it to you. Like, but no, I feel like Sault Ste. Marie, it does have a lot of interesting parts to it. It's a cool little island of liberalism in what could otherwise be quite an isolated and you know, conservative area. I mean, you know, for the longest time around us, like, politically, party politics-wise, there's been a lot of NDP, and there is a lot of NDP up in the north here. And then the Sioux is like this weird kind of kaleidoscope of things, and it never seems to make sense where the Sioux is voting and things like that. But I do think that people in the Sioux are very, like, small L liberal or small C conservative. They're not like these, like, dyed-in-the-wool kind of people. And I think that it's a city that is, like, it is welcoming. And I think Canada is very welcoming in terms of, like, in terms of immigration and things like that. I feel like the Sioux, people, a lot of people I know, they seem to sort of say, like, actually, we need immigration, you know? We do need it, and we see the difference. And, you know, it's a cliche to, you know, we talk about immigration, like, oh, look at these new restaurants and stuff like that. But, like, the difference between the Sioux 10 years ago and the Sioux to now is amazing, and it's so much more cosmopolitan. And I can't stand the fact that we're now talking about limiting it. But I find that the Sioux is a pretty open-minded place for where it is, you know? And that's a cool thing, you know? Any places around, I mean, there's a Thessalon Pride tomorrow, you know?
Nice.
Yeah, like, they've got what, like 5,000 people, 1,000 people living there? That's awesome, like, you know?
You go Thessalon.
You go Thessalon, yeah. So, yeah, I think that's really cool. So, yeah, I think that's a good thing. I have spoken to people who've said they've been insulted. Like, I spoke to a friend of mine only a few days ago that it was in his car and someone shouted a slur through the window. But I think it's almost comical, you know, just like, really? You said that? Like, really? It's 2025 and you're using the F word? Like, okay.
Oh, thanks. So that's how I
like,
identify.
yeah, like, okay, like, well done. You've got some really good descriptive powers. Like, okay. You know,
LIDDIARD is working.
it's on point. You didn't even use the your grinder, you know? So, I don't know. But yeah, but what I think about that as a queer person who is part of a queer community, and I very much feel it, we know who we are here, and we can look out for each other a little bit, you know, and that's why I really like having this queer coffee night, because not that I want to be this, like, you know, spider in the middle of the web, and I know everything, but kind of do. But, you know, we can look after each other, and it's nice. And, you know, if we'd moved to Toronto, like, they have a great queer community there that do look after each other and you know, push back, like, you know, after everything horrible that happened in the village with the police and everything down there, like, they've really pushed back and they've done a great job. You know, and I think it's cool that we in the Sioux do have a version of that here. And in Northern Ontario, I mean, I read in the news the other day that in Sudbury they're saying no police at their their pride, and they're just doing the sidewalk parade. And I'm like, cool, like make them feel uncomfortable. Like, you know, it's 2025, we're staring down the barrel of fascism once again, and I think let's make these people feel uncomfortable. Like, you know, hey, I'm here. Like, this is what it looks like. You know. Anyway, sorry.
So I have another comparison question.
Okay.
How is like sort of the French here different from the French you learned? Because I may, like, when you're teaching, it'll probably be fairly similar, but I just mean, like, because you work in a francophone school, like, I know a lot of your colleagues are probably from Northern Ontario, some maybe from Quebec, but then there'll also be some, like, from just around here, Hearst, Dupreville.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, when I first interviewed for my job, I had to ask the person who was interviewing me to repeat every question about 3 times, because the accent here is quite different to what I was used to over there. And for a minute there, I was like, I'm doomed. Like, I want to teach in French, I want to use my French, I want to develop my French, and I can't get past the accent, you know, and I like felt awful, because I'm like, this is not, you know, you should know how to speak French, Rex. What are you doing? You know, and I couldn't. And honestly, it took me a year or so to really get used to the accent here, to the point where now my French accent is fully comme Nord de l'Ontario, super, pas comme Québec. I mean, you know, but it's changed. My accent's changed, you know, and I think, you know, I don't think my English accent will ever change, but I think my French accent is not surprised it changed. Yes. But yeah, no, my colleagues are mostly from Northern Ontario, Quebec. We have a few from West Africa as well, which is nice because we've got such a diversity of accents, you know, which is really cool. But yeah, no, it's different. The slang's all different as well, and it's hard to take certain slang seriously, like tabernacle. I'm like, really? The tabernacle? That's your, like, fuck, okay. You know, because then I'm like, but it's so much more insulting if you say it in France French, you know, like, why don't we do that? And they're like, but you don't really care. Okay. But then it amuses me as well, because France French, when I lived over there for a little bit, they have a lot of Anglicisms that they use, which the Académie Française is really upset with. Yes. You know, they don't like that they're using this stuff. Le parking. And I remember I was watching TV one time in France, and I was watching this TV show, and this guy goes, I don't know, it was a competition, a singing competition. Qui va être le top et qui va être le flop? And I'm like, what does top and flop is in French? Like, they have words for that, you know, like, I don't understand. Anyway, so then there's that. But then here, they have Anglicisms that they would never use in France French, which are totally acceptable, like ma job and mon chum and ma blonde, and I'm like,
les édifices.
Yeah, you know, and there's all these words. What's another one that they use all the time? We use all the time here that we're not supposed to. Mon appointement. I'm like, no, it's a rendezvous. But you know, and I sort of came up with one day this kind of idea that what if I just spoke uniquely English, using the Anglicisms from France French and the Anglicisms from Canadian French, and exclusively using Anglicisms, and then I would never have to speak any French. I could just, like, you know, like, oh, but this is, you know, je parle couramment, mais j'utilise les Anglicismes, ça va? And I just, anyway, that didn't work because no one understood what I was talking about. But yeah, no, it's different. I find it's much more. No. I think there's a different type of fluidity here. Like, I think up here in Northern Ontario, but I mean also in Quebec, you know, there's this idea that French is the minority. Well, the idea it is the minority language. People rightly want to protect it, particularly in the Sioux after they tried to ban it in the 90s, right? Like, and I think for that reason, there's always going to be ways of speaking and words that people will not try. You know, they won't like changing here. And I think holding on to the sort of older way of doing things is a thing, like saying like fin de semaine instead of le weekend, which is completely accepted in France French, but they're not here. whereas I think in France, like, they'll play around with slang a lot more to defy the Académie Française. You know, like, I don't know if you've ever heard of Le Verlan before.
Yes.
I love Verlan, it's brilliant.
Yes.
And I feel sad that not everybody knows about it here, but I think it's really fun to teach people, like, oh, cette meuf. Things like that. Like,
My nickname was Dropé.
Dropé. I love that! Dropé. Can I use that? Yeah. So yeah, no, I think it's cool. I genuinely wish that there was more cross-cultural exchange between France and European Francophone countries and here, because I don't think there is, and I think that it all gets kind of lost. No offense, Quebec, love you, Quebec, but I think it all goes to Quebec, you know, and all the cross-cultural exchange, and then you're like, but we have it here in Ontario, you know, and it's a different kind of French, and they have a different history, and you know, anyway, we'll see, we'll push for it. Yeah.
And one last question. If you could leave a message to your younger queer self, or to our younger queers listening to us, what would that message of hope be?
Ooh, I don't do hope.
Well,
I
whatever
do
hope
rage.
is to you,
No.
darling.
It would be like, okay, well, it would be like, piss everyone off. Just piss everyone off.
Yes.
Yeah. You know,
Yes.
like, but from 15 feet away.
Yes.
Like, take 15 paces back and then piss everyone off. And have an escape plan.
Love it.
Yeah.
Love it. Be safe and piss everyone off. I love it.
Yeah. Yeah.
So I will then leave off with our final question. So if in 100 years the Sioux was ever to do an exhibit on you, what would the title of your exhibit be, its tagline, and then 3 artifacts that sort of best, like, sort of showcase you?
Okay, wow, you put me on the spot. Okay, so in 100 years, okay, Rex, noted homosexual and socialist agitator. That would be the title. Object number 1. I mean, I'm not really agitating for socialism just yet, like, actively, but I'll start at some point, you know. Yeah, and when I retire, I get a day off, you know. Oh, starts next week. Okay, object number 1. Can I say objects? It would be my book collection. Or my books. Because I feel like, you know, us bibliophiles who have a lot of books, sometimes if I'm feeling a bit flush, I'll buy a book just to put on my shelf so that when people come around, it's like, this is what I believe in. No, I didn't read it. You know. Or I will read it, you know. So yeah, my book collection, because I think that's a good way of, like, reflecting, like, who I am and what I like and stuff like that. So there again, that's 1, even though it's technically about 1,000, but whatever.
Yeah.
2 would be, oh my god. Oh, you've really put me on the spot. Okay, the second one is gonna be this really bad. I went through a really manic woodworking stage last year, and I had all this, like, random wood left over, and it was in my shed. And Darcy, my husband, was like, "You have to get rid of this." And he was working up in Thunder Bay at the time with his clients, and I was alone in the house. I was like, what am I going to do with all this wood? So I made a table, which I didn't design it. I just got the wood, got the saw out, and was like, yeah, let's go. And in my head, it was like this beautiful table that had, like, all these little tiers coming down, and I was going to put all my plant pots on it and put out on our balcony, and it was going to be really gorgeous. It is, in fact, what ended up happening is a parallel and, you know, stands up picnic table for plant pots, and it looks fine, but it's like everyone that comes in is like, why do you have a child's picnic table? I'm like, it was supposed to be like this gorgeous, like, Minas Tirith of plant pot holding table thingies, and I just failed in the aesthetic department. But it does the job, you know, and it serves very well as my little ashtray place for when people come around and they want to come outside and have some fresh air, let's say. So that would be my second one. And then my third one would be someone said to me last night that I might have to answer a question about what my favourite thing is about me. So I did have one thing slightly prepared. And it would be me, my body, suspended in formaldehyde.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
So, yeah, like, you know, like Lenin or Chairman Mao. Do they still have him? I don't know. Like suspended in formaldehyde. And people can just come and look at me. So you can just like come into this, right? They can come into this room and, like very Napoleonic. Yeah.
Yes.
You come into this room and you can sit and read my books with me looking over you, you know, and my weird little table in the corner. There you go. Yeah.
I can't wait to see this room.
Oh, you've got 100 years to wait, so, you know. Hopefully they'll have like some really good Botox by then, because I think I should be formaldehyded in my prime, but I also want to live a bit longer.
Get a wax sculpture.
There we go. Okay.
So then you could do you now.
Yeah. Okay. I like that.
And then so then you don't have to worry like, oh, okay, well, I gotta get all the Botox. No, do you as a wax sculpture now.
Okay, I like that, but only if, and I don't know if you've ever like looked at these wax sculpture things, but like there's good wax sculptures like Madame Tussauds and stuff,
yes.
And then there's like
Niagara Falls.
Terrible ones, and you're like, what is that? Why does Justin Bieber look like Mark Carney? Like, what is happening? And that's what I want, a terrible wax sculpture. It has to be so unrecognisably awful, you know, and it's only got one thing that would ever make you think, oh, it's Rex, like a big nose or something, you know, like, that's what it would be. Yeah.
Gorgeous curly hair.
The curly hair and the big nose, and then everything else is like, who is this? Like, why does...
This deformed...
Why is this deformed creature? Yeah.
Why is she looking at me?
Yeah. It would have to be like good eyes that follow you around the room. Yeah.
Thank you, Rex.
Thank you very much, you two. This has been lovely. Yeah.
That was awesome.
Have you been to your local museum lately? Visit us at the Sault Ste. Marie Museum, located in downtown Sault Ste. Marie, the one with the big clock tower on the top. Our hours of operation are 10 a.m. to 4 p.m. Tuesday to Saturday. We have 3 floors of exhibits that we constantly work on updating. The whole family is welcome, as we have activity sheets and scavenger hunts with prizes for every kiddo, a discovery gallery full of hands-on learning, and more interactive elements scattered throughout the museum. And don't forget to come say hi and let us know you're a listener of the podcast.
Today's quote comes from the book Algoma Central Railway by O.S. Knock. This quote is taken by J.W. Mills's short story entitled Railroading as She Was. Quote, the fact that prior to and to some extent after the First World War, the Algoma Central Railway was a sort of glorified tote road catering to the requirements of the bush operations of the paper company makes me feel justified in penning this narrative of happenings of 50 years or more ago, when the term "can just turn" signified a round trip from Sault Ste. Marie to mile 68, then the end of the steel. End quote.